Order. Flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as is required by Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, with respect to the Home News Tribune to publish the same. This announcement must be entered into the minutes. Roll call.
Chairman Engel.
Here.
Commissioner Franklin.
Present.
Commissioner Katz.
Here.
Commissioner Vellante.
Here. Adoption of the minutes of June 6th.
We adopt the minutes of June 6th, right?
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Engel.
Yes.
Commissioner Franklin.
Yes.
Commissioner Katz.
Yes.
Commissioner Vellante.
Yes. Move to adopt the meetings, the minutes of June 12th.
Move we adopt the minutes of the meeting June 12th.
Provisional ballot hearing. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Engel.
Yes.
Commissioner Franklin.
Yes.
Commissioner Katz.
Yes.
Commissioner Vellante.
Old business, none. We have new business. Voting at polls in schools which are in session, Warrensdorfer School.
Yes, this was an issue that we discussed, and basically we had some input that apparently at Warrensdorfer School, where we currently have
That's East Brunswick.
where we currently have 3 polls, okay, that there was some construction at the last election, and apparently it caused some aggravation. There was construction at the rear of the school, the normal entrance for the voters. Everyone was required to enter through the front door. The polls are located in a gym at the rear of the building, so they had to go all the way around to the front and all the way to the back to vote. The rear parking lot was completely full with school staffers and board workers, and there were a dozen cars illegally parked. One must exit the side lot in the rear of the building and walk to the front, and to make it worse, it was raining that day. So, school was released about 1:30, and when you're exiting the parking lot, the problem was that the road was restricted because there were school buses about that time, because they had a half a day. So that further exacerbated the situation. So, this individual was questioning, whether we can do anything about that. So I guess in discussions with Commissioner Engel, we were talking about possibly maybe if you could have somebody go out there and look at it again, just to see if there's anything else we could do.
We were aware of that
Yes.
before the election day. We contacted Nanette because they went out for handicap accessibility. This is how we figured it out. Nanette went out and with one of my guys and their school to 2 different schools. Frost also had it, construction as well. Both were aware of it, being an election day and that they needed to be handicap accessible and needed to have sufficient voter parking in the whole 9. And they said they were okay with everything and they were going to put sufficient signs in and things were going to be fine.
And this.
Maybe your complaint is more along the lines of getting there during the same time as the buses, because otherwise, Nanette went down there and called me on election day as well and said she felt like everything was handled very well by the schools. So we didn't have really too many complaints during the day, and she didn't either.
Right.
I mean, like I said, obviously you're not going to please everybody, and
Sure.
maybe the timing was off, the person showing up at the same time as the buses, but for being under construction, they did a pretty good job from what I know of.
Okay.
So I don't know
This
why.
is the only one that I've heard of.
Yeah.
I mean, the email is roughly 3 o'clock, so you're right, they could have gone there around 1 o'clock, 1:30,
It may not have been the best, again, it may not have been the best thing, but they were under construction, so, we were aware of it beforehand, which was great.
Right.
And again, it was a lot more reassuring for me, especially having my guy go out there and check it and make sure he was okay with it too,
Right.
along with Nanette. So she wasn't panicked about it, and she didn't feel like it was like the place wasn't up to par.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, I know that we can't make everybody happy, but we were really diligent on this one.
Yeah.
So
And I didn't get any other complaints, but,
Yeah.
yeah,
It sounds like at least part of the problem is, or the complaint is that they had to park in the front of the school and walk through in the back of the school.
But they walked down the hallway. They didn't know.
Well, the polling place is the back of the school, but they had to go park in the front and walk through the school to get to the
Through the
back.
school.
No, the back was closed because of the construction.
Right.
No, so they went in through the front door and had to walk down this
Yes.
hall.
Yeah, that's right. I thought I just said that.
They had to park either in the front or in the back.
Right.
But they had to walk around to get into the front, to walk through the school to get to the back to vote.
Okay, I thought the back was full of staff, et cetera. It doesn't matter.
Well, it was,
That-
but
that's-
yeah,
that- that's-
it is
forget that, yeah.
something that, was handled on
Yeah.
election day, and I think
We have
it was
other,
okay.
we have other chronic polling places with
Yes.
chronic problems.
But this
Yeah.
issue was more of a construction on election
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
which, regrettably, we try to tell the municipal clerks, if you possibly can, get them not to do it on election day.
You didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
They don't
Now,
contact
that's the problem.
That's
'cause
not
we've
really
had-
their fault when it
Yeah.
comes down to something like that. It was our guys that went out for
Mhm.
inspection,
Right.
found out about it, and immediately I told them to go out and let her know right away, and that's when she got in touch with the school board and those two
Mhm.
individual schools, and then started the, chain, or line of communication.
Yeah.
Again, we were definitely aware of it, and like I said, I thought we did a pretty good job as far as handling it.
And do we ever get complaints about, in Perth Amboy, the Board of Education offices? Because there's literally no parking there. You have to walk a block or two. There's all parking around the school, which is taken up totally by the Board of Ed. And there's, on-street parking is very minimal.
Mm.
No,
We haven't, I haven't gotten anything.
no, that's all right. No, it's-
And I
so
don't get anything from the city clerk either about that, so.
Right.
Maybe people have just given up.
I don't know. Obviously if they do, and we do hear something, we always take care of it. It's not
Well, I don't know if
something
there's anything you can do with it, except if the Board of Ed cooperates and leaves some more space, leaves some spaces for voters on that day. But, okay.
Right, the next issue we have that was going to be discussed is, there was a question about the pickup and delivery process of voting materials.
Yeah, and that complaint came from Edison to be interrupted to the municipal clerk. And the gentleman said, I think we need some rules on pickup and drop off of election materials. Chain of custody is important, especially in these days with so much talk about voter fraud. So that was his complaint, and I told him we discussed it.
Was there a
at the meeting.
specific example of what the problem was?
Yeah, he did. There's an email here. On election night, the materials for District 12 were picked up by a member of another district in the room. I was never asked to do the pickup, and I would have been glad to. I did declare that I would do the turn-in to preserve the chain of possession. The same woman that picked up our materials decided to turn in the materials. So it's just small print. Since I had the materials in front of me and I am bigger than she is, I should have picked them up, but however, she took them, and he was concerned that the chain of custody was broken, so.
Well, that's more of an administrative
Cut off, I
thing. We
can't
don't
read
usually
it.
get involved in the individual townships like
Well,
that.
that's the clerk's job for the
Yeah,
pickup.
I
and
did
drop-off.
think that we had the pickup and delivery by poll clerks within a particular district as opposed to other
Yeah.
districts.
It depends on the town and, and the districts and things like that, but it is typically done through the municipal clerk's office or, the people who assign poll workers. But I haven't, as far as I know, have any issues. There is a sign-in process.
Yeah, I mean, there's a track,
track
for chain of
process.
custody issues.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that whoever picks it up and drops it off,
Mhm.
we have an identification of who that is, whether it's,
Mhm.
and it's one of our poll clerks in some
Yes.
way. So,
It's on a list, and then there is a sign-in sheet you
Yeah.
have to sign.
so I'm not all that concerned about the chain of custody
Mhm.
issue,
Right.
complaint about that part. Although, but the part about, thought it really should be possible from the people that are, poll clerk within the district, because for some reason you got a poll clerk in another district and this stuff doesn't show up, they don't necessarily know who to check where the person is.
Well, again, why a clerk would do that as opposed to within the
Well, it's
district.
the same polling place. I mean, it's not hard to go from one district to another.
I mean, it's allowed. I mean, he's concerned
Yes.
whether this is allowed or not.
It is.
Okay.
I mean,
It is allowed.
Well,
It's
it's
their
a-
discretion, though. I don't think
Yeah.
it's something more than.
Okay, we don't need, do not need another administrative task on top of that that's already being done elsewhere.
And we've not had any complaints about issues, about it being picked up and not being there on time, or picked up at the polls and not being brought back on time, or whatever.
We haven't had that there, we've had that happen.
What?
We've had that happen at least once where the person that had the stuff didn't show up on time. I think that was the South Brunswick district once.
yeah, we've had it
Oh,
here.
starting to open the district.
Yes.
Yeah, open, not to close them,
Yeah,
not to close
no,
them.
no,
They fight over bringing it back.
I mean, we've had it in the past where they stopped at Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah,
on the way in.
right,
and said-
and the way back,
Yeah,
right.
back from the pool.
Okay, I don't think, but to the extent that this is a chain of custody complaint, I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah. So I guess I can answer that.
Yeah.
To that
Mhm.
effect, okay. Okay, Jim, what's the next, the administration reports. We got Stephen's report here.
Okay, as far as voting machines are concerned, we're currently doing all the repairs and clearing all the elections off. We have the primary that's on there, and then of course the two special schools that we had next. They're also in the process of changing all the AA batteries on these results cartridges. It takes 2 AA's each, so we're working through that. I mean, it's not really due to change them all, but we're trying our best to keep these things going as best as we can. There's a lot of issues with the cartridges, and they pop up with a lot of weird error codes at this stage. I think a lot of the boards are bad, but we're trying to push them along, as best as we can and keep it moving. And then, of course, we'll do the state protocol checklists as far as the machine diagnostic reports that we have to do, and doing that for the second half of the voting or election cycles. We'll go ahead and do that. And then as far as this state audit, Bob contacted myself and Jim and Bob Giles from the Division of Elections, and because of the way the court case is and the judge's ruling, they have to come once a year and audit whatever election they want to. So they're going to do last year's, because it should have been done last year, they're doing last year's general election. They're going to just go through basically the one thing I have here, which is the protocol checklist as far as our maintenance reports first. Then after that, they're going to go through our reports as far as the machine setup for when we got the election, who used, because what we do is we sign off on each person doing each job on the machine. Excuse me, and then once that's finished, then we also have the pre-lat testing that they have to double check. Basically, we use the ascending or descending vote process, make sure each person had a different number. So they're going to check all that basically. So that should take me probably most of the morning to do that. They said they don't really need much, just us to set them up with a corner and give, obviously give them the information, and that's it.
And that's not going to conflict with the, you or whoever has to come over here to see the machines.
No, because I did say that to him, and he said, look, it doesn't really, they don't need us there.
Okay.
Because they'll report their findings when they're finished.
Okay.
So, and he said they only plan on working there until about lunchtime and then leaving and going to Morris County after. So either way, we could be there in the beginning to help them out, and then after that, it doesn't matter whether we're there. I'll have a couple of people at the warehouse there, with them obviously if they do need something. We do have that special school board coming up for Middlesex and Spotswood/Elmetta. We're working on keyless right now because we haven't done anything for these two and since 2011. So I want to make sure that we basically have to go through the information to make sure that all the polling places are up to date. We're going to consolidate like we always do. Also, I know we've been in contact with Spotswood. She's not interested in a poll clerk training. I haven't heard anything from Middlesex because she seems to be trying to hold us hostage. She's like, well, I don't know if I need a poll clerk training if you're not going to give me the amount of machines we're going to have. And I'm like, I can't do that yet because I have to go through everything first. So we have a call into her. Kathy's supposed to call us back. So within a day or two, I'm sure we'll figure that out by next week, definitely. If I have to get her a keyless first, we're working on it anyways, so it'll be done. Once we do get the keyless, we'll make sure we pass it on to you guys and then to the towns, our trucker, like we always do. I tried to explain to her, I'm like, we just need to know if you would like that. You know, you don't have to say, you know, you don't need to do it if you don't want to. Because then we need to figure out where we're gonna have it.
We have
That's
plenty
the
of
other
time
issue.
anyway,
Yeah.
so to set it up.
So, and then buildings and grounds, the county did come in with a subcontractor. Basically what they're doing is they're, right now the way our sewer pump is, because they continually go, I've been out there for like the last year and a half, constantly working on this thing all the time, and basically what it is the electricity and the setup of the sewer pump is kind of runs all the way across the street, but it's on our side, so they were wondering if they could use our building. I said I have absolutely no problem with that. So they're gonna put like a shut-off switch as far as electric is concerned, leading into our building, and basically they're gonna replace the pump and replace the parts and then keep it going, because it is for our building anyway, so I don't really care. I did explain to Patrick, who was the lead guy on this, I told him, I said, you know, just understand, you can't get in this building without one of us being here.
Right.
And he understood that already. He's like, I know, voting machines. He goes, I would never think of that. I said, you know, he goes, the only time we'd ever need to get to this would be during the day when you guys are here. We wouldn't be working on it overnight anyways, he said, so you have nothing to worry about. And I was like, as long as the county understands that they can't get to it any other way, that they would have to contact us and go through us. And he's like, no, that works. So I haven't heard anything as far as the parking lot is concerned. I didn't put it in the report because, you know, I just haven't heard anything. So I did talk to Patrick, and he's like, that's not really his. He does the electric stuff. He doesn't really do that. So I thought I'd throw it out there just for the heck of it.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Anything on poll council?
No,
I know you sent out that letter
I
today.
did, the
Email.
poll team, they're gonna have like two of the party chairs. I sent it to you guys, the municipal clerks and the county chair, so that everybody's informed of when the poll workers and challengers are.
Okay.
September.
September 8th, I believe. I forget every day.
Okay.
But as far as the special elections, for the East Brunswick Fire and the special elections, we have limited staff working. I haven't heard from South Brunswick if they want staff yet. Right, Maria? No, they haven't, but we'll let you know if they want staff to be present. And the staff here is currently working on about 2,000 NBC records and 25,000 sample ballots came back. And I'm doing it.
25,000 for the primary.
At 2,400, I gotta go to 900.
Yeah, good job. Good
Getting
job.
there.
But then when she finishes all the online dues,
Yeah,
then I rerun my analysis. and I get a whole bunch of years. Anytime.
No, really, well, like 5 years.
That's all I have.
That's it? Okay, that's your report.
Yeah.
Thanks, Linda. Jim?
Okay, not too much. Well, I think you're already aware, there is a meeting with the county administrator on the 8th concerning the new branding that they want to implement across the county. Apparently, most of the departments have already implemented it because it's a simple implementation. But with certain groups, including us, you know, it's a little more tricky because we're an autonomous group, you know, et cetera. So we're going to meet with them on the 8th and go through some of the situations we have. Plus, you know, I want to get sort of templates of what they are using for letterheads, other, you know, things that they send out, emails, et cetera, and then see what type of issues we will have either with the wording or with the actual graphics themselves. Any letters that we have that we generate from the state system, we can provide the graphics for a header and a footer to Linda, who will upload them into the system so that any of the canned letters that come out of the system will automatically have that information on it. Okay, so that's, I think, relatively easy. And then there's, you know, books and other things that we publish. There's letters that I send out, and, you know.
So you're gonna keep the same, I mean, I know it's the Middlesex County, no, I just mean like, are you gonna keep board elections
I have to
commissioners?
look and
You're gonna see if that's,
right, I have to see that,
Okay.
because if they say no,
Right.
then I gotta come back and we have to discuss it and see.
Yeah, well,
because it isn't.
once again, we're autonomous, we're not a county
Yeah,
department.
but we're still
Yeah, no,
under Middlesex, you know. Yeah.
I have no problem
Right.
with
Mhm.
the branding being a similar
Yes.
type,
Mhm.
as long as it's clear
Right.
what's happening.
Well, and again, I think it's mostly the middle piece here,
Mhm.
you know, so if I just do that middle piece, I think it'll be okay. Now, the only other issue was, as you know, historically, we have a blue book, which is the poll worker instructions. It's got that name, Blue Book, because the front and the back are blue,
Yeah.
but not paper. It's a little more than paper, like a cardboard. Yeah. So that needs to stay the same. Now, however, I think that Reprographics has been told that they can't use colored papers. So if that's the case, then we have an issue that we need to talk about. Okay? So, if
Reprographics is the
necessary,
vendor.
the printer. No, that's our,
The internal, okay.
yeah, because
Yes.
that's who does our books.
Right.
So, like I said, if necessary, and we all agree with it, then we'll send it to an outside printer.
Or we get the county to print that way, because
Whatever.
presumably it would be cheaper for the taxpayers.
I also sent you an email,
Maybe.
about the demonstration of the ES&S voting machine that's set up for the 15th of August between 12 and 2 here in the conference room. You know, the vendor will be here. We're basically here to ask them questions. The voting machine group will be represented. They're going to look at it. I've also asked, and ES&S doesn't care, I'm going to invite the machine person from Somerset over, because he's the head of the voting machine committee for the New Jersey Association of Election Officials. He wants to look at it too,
Okay.
which is fine.
And the commissioners are going to be there.
If you like, yeah, it's from 12 to 2, you know, come on over, take a look at it. And this is the machine that they want to have, they're setting it up to do automatic translations. So that now, since we have to do English, Spanish, and the Indian dialects, that it'll be built into the system. So somebody comes up, they hit Gujarati, everything changes to Gujarati, you know, that type of thing, right? You also have in your package just a reiteration of the meetings dates for the rest of the year, okay? And other than that, I think that's all I have. I know, Don, you have some.
Yeah. As you may know, I went to the IGO conference, International Association of Government Officials, their name. And I always try to come up with one particular thing I try to focus on. And this year, of course, the election machines are the most relevant. It appears that the only two players in New Jersey are likely to be, no surprise, Dominion and ES&S. I talked to the Hart people there. It's always good, the more vendors you have, the more work it is. And I told them about the situation, etc. I don't anticipate any participation. They've never been a player in New Jersey, although they're a substantial company. So
They don't do a
they're-
full face ballot, that's the thing.
Yeah,
They don't want
right.
to.
So ES&S had their machine there. Dominion did not, but I had some pretty decent discussions both ways. The ES&S machine it looks pretty impressive. It's a very big screen. And it is paper, you know, it's still a touchscreen as we're used to. It is attached to it, it's not, doesn't look Rube Goldberg, which could be an issue of paper. But it looks, if I got this right, the poll clerk actually gives the voter this paper to insert. I'm not positive, but I think that's the way it was. And then it's, when they vote on it, it will appear on paper to check, and if there's some mistake, it has to spit it out, and you have to bring the paper back to the poll clerks. Otherwise, I know, it's things just to think about, and otherwise it'd be a precedent, and it goes in, so you have that as a backup. As I told you, Dominion did not have the machines there. My understanding was that, and yes, you could press it, then you can pick a language, so there's not going to be an issue in terms of space if it's by adding languages.
Right.
So you can pick the language you want, so that's a good thing. I think that's intended to be a feature of both.
Yeah, basically.
Yes.
It's on Dominion.
Right, and Dominion. So I haven't seen that machine. It's a similar things. Although there are two variations that when I talked to them, which are,
would not think we would probably want, but I didn't want to raise the part of the issue. There's an option if we did Dominion where they could take our shells of our machines, pull out the guts, electronic guts, and put something in, which presumably would be cheaper, but then we're still dealing with what is even if the guts are out, what, a 20-year-old
Plastic. That's what we're dealing with now.
and the rest of it is
Send order
not.
another-
So I don't think that that's a special option, or a possible option. I'm just giving you what a report on. The other thing is they've got the shells for 600 or more machines in a warehouse in New York that are never used, but they've been sitting there for 20 years or 30 years, where they could use those as well. So those are the variations on the thing. I think, whatever we get, and we're gonna likely be required to get stuff, so the county will ultimately have to pay because the law changes. So this is our opportunity to get it. We should get things that will last us as long as possible, rather than blowing in the back, something else. So I think it's probably gonna be either what we're gonna see, or what I've seen, what we're gonna see with ES&S, or the similar machine from Dominion. And I don't know if Dominion, and I asked them both, are you approved yet in New Jersey? And the bottom line is it's still like a little cage. It's like they're getting approved at the national level,
Federal level.
and they're getting pieces of it approved locally as it goes along.
But they're not approved.
The bottom line is neither one's approved yet.
And they're not gonna be probably for the rest of this year.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
they
I think-
say some stuff.
We actually saw
Sometime
the
next
Dominion machine here.
Okay, I didn't get to.
I thought it was really good. But I-
Yeah, well, basically, the current machine is, when you look at the valve trace, when you press the X, you're actually pressing through plastic and pressing a button, okay? Whereas the new machines are like a tablet. So it's just touching the face of a tablet.
Yeah.
And so both machines are gonna be tablet-based.
And it's not less an issue about having a plastic consent problem, I would guess.
It's probably the same. I mean, we just ordered 100
But in
doors,
terms
we're
of what
only
you
getting
have to
60.
press, but in terms of how much you have to press on it.
Oh, yeah, it's just a screen.
Machines we have now, they're small.
No, they're pretty much
About
the
the same.
same. Yeah. See,
Well, the
I was-
screen's bigger, the screen's
So
bigger.
The
space-wise,
screen,
The
yes.
screen is bigger, but the space is.
I was hoping that the people would come up with a smaller
yeah,
physical machine so I could get more into the warehouse.
right.
Because as you know,
Well, the ES&S one is clearly much larger.
it's big,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's as big as the Dominion, or it may be the same as Dominion. It's roughly the same.
Don't they have two different screens though? One
What's
is
that?
like doesn't one have like a 42 and one has like a 48 or something?
They have a 40 on the Dominion.
40.
The Dominion, the legs are not very sturdy. I mean, that's what we're dealing with now.
Right.
The machines are very wobbly. They're 20 years old. They're getting beat down.
Yep.
They're providing brackets, but the brackets are just
Should have been there.
stopgap.
They should have been there during the inception.
Mhm.
They should have given it out once they realized that this was a current problem. They won't do that without you spending money.
Yep.
Sure.
So bottom line, we're looking at least sometime late next year before they're all approved.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's gonna be any bidding activity until then, because we can't bid on anything unless it's,
Right.
and I don't think the county wants to make a commitment to something that they don't know is approved yet.
Wait till the final product.
I looked a little bit at the poll books as well, but I don't think it matters what matches up. One of, either Dominion or ES&S has their own poll books, but I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
That-
With the electronic poll books,
Yeah.
the main thing is just the software that runs the poll book. That's the main thing.
Yeah, some of them have their own dedicated hardware, a lot of them just off the shelf, like iPads or something similar. Can we pass on to NJEO that maybe for the March conference, they try to ask both Dominion and the ES&S to bring the proposed machine?
Oh,
to
I'm
that
sure they will,
conference?
but I'll make a note of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
The only one I know that's in federal right now is ES&S. Dominion's not there. They haven't said anything about whether or not they're getting close to, as far as to the statewide. The state only knows of one, and that's just ES&S, and that's it.
Well, I talked to Bob Giles, it sounds like it's what's gonna be, his opinion, it's gonna be ES&S or Dominion are gonna be our choices.
Yeah.
So,
starting to get, if you're finished.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
One thing
Yeah.
I just remembered, the NJAO is working on setting up the fall meeting. And it looks like it's gonna be in, believe it or not, somewhere in the State House. So.
The State House that they're renovating, they
Well,
kicked
I don't
everybody
know.
out of.
My only concern is, where's everybody gonna park?
Right.
Again, we used to go to the State House.
Well, we had it at the, I don't know if the State House itself, we had it at the Trenton War Memorial Building.
Yeah.
That's it, the War
War
Memorial.
Memorial Building.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where.
Well, that's not being
Better
renovated.
park.
No, right.
Maybe it needs to be, but it's not.
What happened to
That's-
Monroe?
that's-
That was perfect for us.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
one.
it?
I didn't find anything, I don't think there was anything else especially relevant at the conference that this was.
Thanks, Don.
Yes.
Any further comments from commissioners? No? No? Okay. The next meeting is September the 7th at 5 p.m. And we're going to go into executive session for a few short.
So I have to make a motion to.
To adjourn.
Move to
Go into
executive
executive
session.
session, yeah.
I move, we move to executive session.
Second?
We have to
Yes.
do it for the reasons, general
Personnel.
Yeah, roll call, Maria?
Chairman Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Franklin?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Barros?
Yes.
Is copacetic, you know? Okay. Good evening.
State your name and
Yep.
your town.
My name is Jason Leekman. I am a reporter with New Brunswick Today, and I just had a question to follow up with Mr. Borko, sorry. I was reading it.
It's okay.
So there was, did you receive an email from Charlie Prattville
Yes.
about voter in New Brunswick? Yeah. Did you have a response to that email?
Not at this time, no.
This
We
time?
have not taken we have not responded directly to the voter yet.
Okay.
Once we respond directly to the voter, then it becomes public knowledge and it can then be divulged.
Okay.
But at this point, no, because our process is we do work directly with the voter where the issue is involved. Okay, once that's done, then it's public.
That's fine. I was just following up to
Yeah.
make sure because they had not heard a response yet, so.
Regretfully, I've been on vacation for.
That's completely understandable.
Yes.
I just had to,
Okay.
cross the T's. Thank you very much.
Thank
That's
you.
it?
Yeah, that's it. Simple.
Okay.